who over 55 years have provided supplemental food to those in need in the Kentucky-Anna region. Last year, their food banks delivered 22 and a half million meals. And while that is so very impressive, we must recognize that those are not just statistics. They are human beings, they are Kentuckians, they are our family and friends. And I honestly never thought that I would have to call a press conference to discuss our government using food stamps for needy families as a bargaining chip. And yet, here we find ourselves today. Since 1939, this program with life-saving nutrition has provided life-saving nutrition to our most vulnerable neighbors. 8 Democratic presidents and 7 Republican presidents have governed over this program that underscores our shared American value of caring for those in need. Now, make no mistake, putting the SNAP benefits at risk is a choice that is being made by out-of-touch politicians in Washington, D.C. Our tax money has paid for this program, and the money is there. The government shutdown is being used as an excuse now to hurt Kentuckians. And while we are grateful that a federal judge upheld a stay order, there is no certainty in the days ahead. So let's take a moment to look at how integral the SNAP benefits have been in this region. Over 600,000 Kentuckians receive SNAP benefits. This represents more than 271,000 households. Over 260,000 Kentucky kids. And I venture to say that every Kentuckian knows or is related to someone who utilizes SNAP. 13% of our population, a higher percentage than the national average, receive SNAP. Over 60,000 are adults with disabilities. Over 92,000 are elderly. There's a narrative floating out there that SNAP benefits subsidize adults who refuse to work, and that is absolutely not true. In Kentucky, 70% of working age recipients have a full-time job. Today, we have advocates representing these vulnerable groups to discuss what this senseless ending of the SNAP benefits will mean for Kentuckians that they serve. Joining me today, we have heroes who have championed this cause. And first up today, we have First Lady Britainy Beshear, and she has used her platform in this role to fight against hunger and to fight for Kentucky families. And I'm so glad that she could join us today.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
That's the pastor review.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Coleman, for inviting me to join you this morning at Feeding Kentucky's, one of Feeding Kentucky's 7 food banks. I'm honored to be here because this issue is too important to not speak up. These food banks here and the more than 900 partner food pantries and meal programs across the Commonwealth make a difference in the lives of Kentucky and its families. I've seen firsthand the incredible work these organizations do through volunteering myself with Dare to Care's Community Kitchen, Meals on Wheels, and Family Scholar House. Their efforts are crucial in normal circumstances. These are not normal circumstances. It is even more dire during this critical time. As Lieutenant Governor Coleman said, almost 600,000 Kentuckians rely on SNAP, many of whom are children. It's 1 in 8 Kentuckians. That's 1 in 8 children. It's not a number, it's a person, it's a human being who deserves the dignity of having a full belly. These are benefits that the Trump administration has tried to withhold during the federal shutdown. It is cruel and it is unnecessary, and it is based on politics. Politics does not know, hunger does not know political divides. Hunger is in a belly of a human being, and it does not care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Hunger is hunger, and it should never be used in a political game. A child going hungry is never okay. A parent skipping a meal so that their children have enough to eat is never okay. It puts an entire family at risk. A senior not knowing where their next meal will come from is a fear that nobody should have to face. Thankfully, Andy joined a lawsuit challenging the president's decision to not fund SNAP, and on Friday, a judge ruled in our favor. Unfortunately, we are still waiting for those funds to be made available by the federal administration. While we wait, the need for food and the fear of starvation continues to grow. Just like every challenge we face, Team Kentucky is going to see it through together. On Friday, Andy signed an executive order declaring a state of emergency and directed $5 million from the budget reserve trust fund to our Feeding Kentucky food banks. Feeding Kentucky and their incredible partners are being intentional by ensuring that support is spread throughout the state. These partners are also helping us through the state food drive, which began last week. The Team Kentucky Food Drive has drop-off bins for non-perishable food at every state office building in Frankfort and here at the L&N building in Louisville. Donations will go through established charities like Dare to Care, God's Pantry, and the Christian Appalachian Project for distribution to Kentuckians in need. These opportunities remind us we can all help. Every action can and will make a difference. It's why Will and Lila and I have made it a priority to volunteer at organizations that fight hunger. Whether you show up to volunteer, drop off food at a donation box, or offer to share a meal with a neighbor in need, your efforts will help fight hunger in Kentucky. There's no one who knows better. There's no one who knows that better than our next speaker. He sees the need in our daily lives and actively works to be there for those Kentuckians facing hunger. So now I am very proud to introduce Vincent James, the President and CEO for Dare to Care.
I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Coleman and want to thank First Lady Beshear for being here. I wish we didn't have to be here today, but we're here because we're standing up and speaking for those who have a voice, but they can't speak for themselves today. So we have an opportunity to be able to do that. We also accompanied by Dr. Yearwood, who is the superintendent for JCPS. Across our community, what we're seeing and what we're seeing families experiencing, they're doing everything they can just to try to make it. And in doing everything they can to try to make it, they're trying to stretch their paychecks as far as they will go. Parents are literally skipping meals so that their children can eat. We live in the wealthiest country in the world, and that should never be the case. Mothers are opening their pantries up and looking in only to see a few cans and wondering, how is this going to last for the end of the week? How am I going to get opportunities to feed my children? No mother, no parent should ever have to wake up and ask that question. Nearly 150,000 neighbors in our service area rely on SNAP benefits. It's literally the lifeline for individuals and families to be able to experience what we know as the American dream, where you wake up every morning and you don't have to ask the question, what am I going to eat? You know you have food to eat. Anything as we think about what's happening across the country and we see and hear of the rulings and we hear how it's being applied and understanding that, for us, when we think about SNAP benefits, and we know that that is a lifeline for many families so that they won't experience food insecurity, we're saying and understanding that nothing less than the full funding of SNAP benefits is what is needed. Because anything partially funded, anything less than fully funded, we're still going to have families at risk that will not know where they're going to get their next meal from. When we look at our families and we see what is happening, and we realize that it's impacting seniors, it's impacting children, it's impacting veterans, it's impacting all of our families, they deserve better than this. And so our food pantry partners are no longer really embracing for the impact. They're in the middle experiencing it day in and day out. We're seeing lines literally doubling and even some instances tripling as the demand and the need is rising. Even here, just yesterday, on average, we have emergency boxes here to provide for families. We normally see anywhere from 25 to 40 families a day. Yesterday, we saw 117 families. They were literally standing at the door, waiting for us to open up. And that should never be the case. And we're seeing this because families are concerned, and they rightfully should be concerned as to how they're going to have access to food. And again, when we think about our community and we think about the impact that these benefits have on families and the lack thereof, this fear that families are waking up with, not knowing how they're going to feed their families, no one again should ever have to experience that. For more than 50 years, Dare to Care has been in this community providing resources to families who are in need. We are really the safety net where we see SNAP benefits and other government programs, nutrition programs, provide access for fresh food and opportunities for families to be fed. Dare to Care is designed to be able to be that safety net to fill in that gap. Well, when those benefits have been disintegrated, we are no longer filling that gap. We can't do it by ourselves. That's why we need the community to stand up. And that's why we're excited what Governor Beshear, what he did in terms of providing $5 million across the 7 food banks of Kentucky, that we'll be able to purchase the much needed food that is needed for our families so that they can have access to food. And so we want to thank Governor Beshear. We want to thank our own mayor, Mayor Greenberg, who last week issued an opportunity for food drives to go forth in 3 places of events that the city was sponsoring, and also providing resources for Dare to Care to be able to supply food for our neighbors. And what we're asking is for our public, we need everyone to stand up. This is a time that no one sits down, but we need the private sector, we need the public sector, we need all hands on deck to be able to provide for the families. And how can you do that? Well, one of the ways you can do that is advocate. You can advocate for fully funding SNAP benefits. You can advocate that our lawmakers learn how to work together and open our government back up. You can advocate continually to provide for families who have the need. Or you can volunteer at your local food bank, local pantry, where you can help feed some of the families that are experiencing food insecurity. Or you can donate. You can donate to daretocare.org. $1 provides up to 2 meals for the much needed opportunities that our neighbors have for food. And the reality is, alone we can't do it, but together we can. And that's why you see this representation standing here today, to be able to share and show that together we can make a difference. We can provide the hope and the nourishment that families need on a day-to-day basis. So join with us as we are desiring a desire to be able to feed folks, to be able to allow them to have food the way that they desire it, when they need it, and how they need it. And so again, I want to thank First Lady Beshear and Lieutenant Governor Coleman for being here. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Yearwood.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. James. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I would like to thank the leaders at Dare to Care under the leadership of Mr. James for their unwavering dedication to ending hunger in our community. We are grateful for your support of our students, of our families, and neighbors. You are needed. You're critical to us. I'd also like to thank Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman and First Lady Britainy Beshear. The Commonwealth's significant and immediate response to this crisis reflects the urgency and the seriousness of this. This is very serious. At JCPS, for us, hunger is heartbreaking, and we see the signs in our students. Our students are hurting. When a child has trouble focusing in class, goes to the nurse with a stomach ache, and especially when they come in on a Monday morning for that free breakfast, you can see they're making up for lost time. They're making up for lost time from that weekend. For these students, hunger is not an abstract concept pulled from some historical book or headlines. It's their lived experience. I too, growing up, experienced this hunger because we were food challenged in my family. I know the headaches, the pains, the suffering that goes with it. And so as we talk about hunger, we talk about children, we talk about suffering. And it's adult behaviors. Adult behaviors are the biggest determiner of the success of children. And in this case, we need adults to step up and support, because hunger is associated with pain and suffering, and our children deserve a lot better. Behind these students are parents who may have missed a paycheck. There are parents who may have problems with their cars breaking down or face another unexpected cost that has had a ripple effect that they now need to support. Every day in JCPS, we provide over 100,000 meals at no cost to students through funding received from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, from the Kentucky Department of Education. Our district qualifies for this resource because more than 60% of our students are deemed eligible through our federal programs, including SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Program. That is an unwavering number, representing more than 57,000 students. Now, we are incredibly proud to provide these meals through our schools. We are proud of that. That's not enough. It is not enough. We know the needs extend beyond our school doors and beyond our school hours. That is why today I'm announcing that JCPS is partnering with Dare to Care to launch a massive district-wide food and fund drive. This effort will help us stock local pantries, ensure that our families and our neighbors don't have to face the impossible choice between food and essential costs. No one should have to decide whether I feed my family, pay my rent, or pay my electric bill. That should not be a determiner. Starting today, we're accepting donations at every JCPS school, as well as the Van Hoos Education Center, the Stober Building, and the CB Young Service Center. For our parents and neighbors who can afford to donate, if you can afford to donate, please do so. But when you sit around the dinner table and you're talking to your child about this, let them know that they're bringing that jar of peanut butter or that box of cereal to school for a purpose. This is not an open opportunity for us to just show our neighbors that we care, but it's also a chance for us to teach our children, show our children who we are and what we hope they become. So again, I reach out, I implore our adults, anyone who can, please give. And let's stop hunger. Let's stop hurting kids. Let's give them what they need to be successful so that they can come into our schools ready to learn, so they can excel. Thank you.
So once again, I urge you to consider how you might be able to help. You can visit feedingkentucky.org, feedingky.org. They have food banks in all 120 counties. If you or someone you know needs assistance, you can go there and click on the Get Help tab. To support your neighbors, you can go to feedingky.org and click on the Donate tab. I know that the Team Kentucky spirit will shine through these difficult times, because it always does. For those of you who have already contributed, and for those of you who will contribute to help your neighbors, thank you, thank you, thank you. If any members of the media have questions, I will take those over to the side, so that will conclude today's press conference. But thank you all so much for being here this morning.
Well done. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes.
Yes, great job.
Come on.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother.
Yes, sir.
You go.